Sonic the Hedgehog. Still as good as it was back in the day. Still a classic. Bright visuals, colourful characters, clever level design. And it's so simple to pick up and play. You can run left, you can run right, you can jump. Oh, and you can curl into a ball while running. That's it. So when I heard there was a new 3D Sonic game coming out, my first thought was, shit. I remember Sonic on the Xbox 360. It was bad. Like, really bad. Okay, let's get this over with.
Forces are surging into the city! We need you here now!
Hold on, Tails. I'm on my way! We don't have time to lose. Better kick things up a notch.
It's good. Who knew? This is Sonic Forces. Enjoy. Or don't.
Are more than enough. We'll blitz the place and open up a path for the resistance. Right, partner? Time for the two of us to team up. It doesn't matter what obstacles they put in our way. We'll blow past everything they throw at us. Double boost!
Honestly, I was expecting this game to be crap. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's a 3D Sonic game. Since when has the 3D version ever worked as well as the original 2D version? It has now. It's the usual story. Eggman's created... You know, I'll never get used to calling him Eggman. It's Robotnik, okay? Robotnik. Eggman. Who the hell thought Eggman sounded better? Anyhow, Robotnik has come up with an old plan. Build robot army, build super weapon, conquer the world. The only difference is the Chaos Emeralds aren't involved this time round, surprisingly. This time he's built the Phantom Ruby and given it to a new ally. This results in him beating Sonic and succeeding in conquering the world. Which naturally leads to a resistance being formed to bust Sonic out of jail and bring Robotnik down. So far so similar. So what's so different about this game? Well, surprisingly very little. You can run and jump, and because it's a 3D Sonic game you can do the homing attack, of course. Now in the 360 version, the homing attack had a 50-50 chance of getting you killed. And that's mainly due to two things. Firstly, the homing attack itself. You home in on the enemy and you boing, bounce off the enemy when you destroy them. But there was a moment when you bounced up into the air and you couldn't maneuver until you come back down again. And that left you vulnerable. The second thing is that the enemies have machine guns. They'd fire high-speed bullets at you, and you couldn't dodge the damn things. In this game, the enemies cue their attacks more clearly, the bullets are bigger and glow. They're the more classic type bullets that you think of from the original game. They're slower, they're easier to see, and they're easier to dodge. And that means that the homing attack is no longer a coin toss death deal for you. Now, you can just do it and there's no fear of being hit. Another big improvement is the camera. No longer does it simply follow you around, get stuck in corners, all the while pointing in a useless direction half the bloody time. And that's partly because the game is not an open world game anymore. There's only two main camera angles, the side-scrolling platformer perspective and the chase camera. Now the chase camera only ever points in the direction you need to go, but more impressively, when grinding on rails, the camera sometimes pans round the corner to warn you that there's something there you probably need to know about. As if that wasn't good enough, during the running sections, you can't wander off the sides, and there are no stupidly placed columns or walls to get in your way. The only things in your way are enemies and breakables, and if you turbo boost, you can just smash through everything in your path. Now it is true that sometimes you do need to jump over a gap, so there's some platforming style movement required in these running sections, but there's no precision platforming, which means you're not called upon to do precision movements with a 3D control system that never really feels like it's designed for it. So the homing attack no longer gets you killed, the camera actively tries to help rather than hinder, and the fast running sections no longer require you to have the reaction speed of the bloody Flash. All the major problems have been fixed. So now let's try and be a bit more positive. Like the original game, Sonic Forces cleverly uses the environment to slow you down before you charge headlong into hazards, at least most of the time. The feel of the game is very similar to the originals, and racing through the levels, grabbing rings, smashing robots, dodging spikes, it's all very satisfying.
I'm heading into the chemical plant now. I'd enjoy this even more if I wasn't on a mission. Okay, I'm in.
The computer room is up ahead. You should be able to shut down the DefX defense system from there.
There are actually 3 characters you will use throughout the game. Modern Sonic with his homing attack, Classic Sonic who handles old school, and your own custom character. The character creation system has plenty of options to get you started. Sonic Forces has so many costume pieces for you to earn, and it feels like you earn something every time you, well, put a foot forward, frankly. You beat a level, you get some stuff. You beat a level with an S rank, you get some stuff. You beat this certain level within a certain time period, you get some stuff. You beat a certain number of enemies with a certain weapon, you get some stuff. You get stuff up the arse. It's unbelievable. And even better, all this stuff is integrated into the game. It's not paid DLC, it's not microtransactions, it's not found in loot boxes. The game just gives you it. It's just a part of the game. Who knew that was even possible? Well, apart from every gamer alive. I don't want publishers arguing, we can't do that, it'll cost too much, or it's too much development time, or no, you can. This game managed it, you can. This is excellent. Your custom character has a gun with a built-in grapple, and that allows you to swing at certain points in the level. Each gun has a different primary fire, and additionally a special function that must be charged with in-level pickups.
So they're building weapons here, huh? Making everyone work like robots. It'll be Eggman's turn to get pushed around when I get a hold of him. Lightning!
Some of the levels will immediately look familiar, hell, they'll sound familiar, as the game uses some of the music cues from the original. Not entire redos, but just you'll recognise the underlying theme for some of the levels. And the game plays the nostalgia card straight away. Stage 1 is Green Hill, Stage 2 is the chemical plant, and there are other levels that have been inspired by this, things like Metropolis, the Death Egg, Scrap Brain, Casino Night. You will recognise the levels if you've played the original games. It's clear that the designers were trying their damnedest to bring this game as close to the originals as possible, and they succeed very well. And for those of you who are interested, you can download an extra 3 t-shirts from the PlayStation Store. Also available though are Shadow, who is playable on certain levels and comes with 3 extra levels of his very own, and Super Sonic, both of which become selectable characters once a level has been completed for the first time. And guess what? They're all completely free. I know! No paid DLC at all. And at 30 quid, it's pretty difficult to go wrong with this game. It's got quite a bit of content to it. Although there is one slight fly in the ointment that some people might have an issue with. This game is 30 stages long, that's the campaign, and it took me 4 hours to blow through. That's all. By modern standards, 4 hours, it's not much. But the game does have a way of extending the lifetime of the game. In each level there's 5 red rings to pick up, and once you've collected all of them, then 5 numbered rings appear. You have to collect them in reverse order, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the moon rings unlock, which you have to gather them. As soon as you gather the first one, you have to gather the remaining ones as quickly as possible before they disappear. That is a good way of getting you to extend the lifetime of the game, but it feels like you are extending the lifetime of the game as opposed to the game designers making more game. So it does feel a bit like you're redoing the same levels. Well, you are doing the same levels over and over again. If you're a completionist like me, you'll love that kind of thing. If you're not a completionist, you might take issue with that. So just know that the campaign is 4 hours long. But you know what? For the purposes of this review, I went back and played a little bit of the original games. And some of those original levels, 1 minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes. Green Hill Act 3. How long did it take me? Including the boss. Remember, it's got a boss. The whole of Act 3, including the boss, 2¼ minutes. And most of the levels in this game take longer than that. And there's 30 of them. The original game had 18 stages. Well, 24 if you include the fact that you have to visit the warp zone 6 times to get all the emeralds. Okay. This game is longer than the original, but it's comparable. And it is an excellent homage / redo. The final score for Sonic Forces is a 7 out of 10. It's a good game, and even more shockingly, it's a good Sonic game, a good 3D Sonic game. 3D Sonic, who thought that would actually work? I certainly didn't. It does play the nostalgia card early on, and it occasionally plays it throughout the game, but it doesn't rely on it, it doesn't use it as a crutch. It builds its own thing here. I mean, after all, it's a 3D game, but it does its own thing with the homing attack, with the grapple, but it makes them work. It's the game's system that's been adapted to fit the homing attack and the camera and all of the platforming that you have to do. It's excellently put together, and for once they stuck as close to the original formula as they possibly could, and it really works. So that was Sonic Forces. 7 out of 10. Good game. Surprisingly good game. I thought it was going to be terrible. It's a 3D game. Anyway, I like it when I'm surprised by good games. Definitely download Super Sonic. It's a lot of fun, trust me. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. See you next time.